Okay, we have an object with a label and a simple shape that we do not draw. We are going to see now how to create a shape that follows the contour of the object so that we can draw the outline. This process takes quite a long time and is mostly a manual work for now. We will use a few shortcuts here. You can see the list of key bindings at the end of the documentation accessed with the F1 key. Here. Let's hide the label for now so that it does not stand in the way. Now we want to add some points, so we start from the first point we added. If we have any point selected, let's press Escape to release the current selection. Then select the first point by pressing on the key number 1 of your keyboard to identify the point. Okay, so this is this one at the top. To add a point, right-click on it and select Add a point. The new point is always added after the original point in a clockwise way. So from the first point, we would call the new one the front point. This one, behind it, would be the back point. The colors of these points changes when an associated point is hovered. The front point is displayed in blue, the back point is displayed in yellow. The color is useful when you have some points deactivated. When you have a point selected, you can navigate between the front and back point using Tab or Shift-Tab. Okay, zoom up on the face of the rabbit, so hold the Alt key and use your mouse wheel. Let's begin to place the points. So move this one here. Try to place the points not outside the object, but just on the border of it, so that the algorithm would not track something outside the object, but its actual border. Try also not to add too many points. A lot of points would take more time to adjust during the analysis of a sequence. Also, the less activated points you have, the faster it will be downloaded and displayed by the browser of your users. We will not analyze the full shape here, as this would take too much time and would probably be boring at some point. We just want to give you an overview of all the tricks that we use to generate an outline. The outline does not have to be absolutely perfect. When you are not zoomed in, you cannot really tell if there is a pixel too much on the left or right. If you do not intend to let people pause the video, remember that there are around 25 frames per second, so the user can hardly see any imperfection. Most of the points will be on corners or on curves. Like this one is on a corner and this one is on a curve. Try not to make a corner where a curve would look better. Like here, try not to do something that would look like this, because it kills the natural look of the curve. Put the point a bit behind and move the control point to match the curve on the object with the Bezier curve, like this. Now that the points are correctly placed on this first frame, let's do frame by frame tracking. So, unzoom to see the whole shape. Then select all the points. You can do that by pressing Ctrl A on your keyboard. Then press T. Then check if any of your points requires an adjustment. On this frame, it looks good. Press Enter to go to the next frame. It looks good as well. Do not hesitate to go back and forth between the previous and next frames to see how the shape evolves. And press Enter to resume tracking. Here, for example, I can see that this is moving a bit, so I want to readjust it so that it follows the motion. OK, press Enter. OK, press Enter. So this point does not really follow the shape, so let's adjust it a bit with a numpad. And then reselect them all and continue tracking by pressing the T key of the keyboard. OK. So we can see that here they are not really as well following the motion. On this frame, the tracking is not sure for 2 points. These 2 points are this one and this one. They are displayed in purple and they are sequentially selected so that you can adjust them. So the first one here is selected so that you can readjust it. So readjust it, then press Enter. Once you press Enter, the next one is selected, then you can readjust it and resume tracking by pressing Enter. When you have multiple points that you need to adjust like this, you can just adjust them with the mouse. And to skip this sequential mode, press Shift Enter. OK. If you wish to readjust a control point, you can do it with the mouse, but you can also do it with your keyboard by pressing the Z and X modifiers. When you hold Z, the back control point will be selected, and then you can readjust it using the numpad. When you hold X, the front control point will be selected, and you can readjust it using the numpad. Sometimes the shapes suffer heavy deformation and requires to add or remove points. You cannot remove a point, you can just deactivate one and reactivate it at a later time or not. Do not hesitate to use this system. The deactivated points are not used in the final compiled data, so they do not impact performance. Here, for example, we need to add a point. Adding a point does not alter the previous curves, as it is added as deactivated on the first frame, and it is then activated on the frame you added it on. Tracking does create a fixed position on every frame, which is sometimes what we do not really want. Here, for example, we added a point, but we already had positions defined for the next frames, so that it does not look really correct. So I want to remove the positions for these frames, for this point and for this point. The last correct position would be on frame 6. Let's place correctly the points on the last frame where we have defined positions. Here, here. So the frame 9 is correct, and the frame 6 is correct. So I can just select the point, right-click on it, and say remove point positions after this frame from 7 to 8. Okay, same thing for this one. And I can also do Shift Delete from 7 to 8. Okay, so these points are in gray because they are calculated. Let's also adjust this point, which looks incorrect. So place it here, and select this point and press Delete key to remove this position, so that it will use a calculated position instead of a fixed one. Okay, but what if the point is at a correct position but the curve looks wrong? Well, you can also do the same for the control points, like on this point. The curve does not look really correct. On frame 2 it looks good, on frame 9 it looks good. So we have this point selected. From frame 2 press X, Shift Del, and to frame 8 just remove the control point coordinates, so that now the control point coordinates are calculated, so we can just readjust it in a few positions. Here we could also do the same for this one actually. So Z Shift Del, then remove until 8, place it correctly here, maybe here, and okay, it looks good enough. Here is what it looks like when all the points have been placed. There are just a few things left that I want to show you. We need to track all the movements that are not smooth enough. Most of the times we have defined positions that are not really required and that could have been calculated instead. We need to make sure that they do not impact the smoothness of the motion. Like on this frame here, we have a position defined for this control point on this frame, this frame, this frame. We could just remove the point on the frame in the middle to ensure that it plays smoothly, so that it is calculated from this frame to this frame. Again, it is not important to have positions defined on every frame. The calculated points usually make it look more natural. There are a few consecutive frames where defining point was not necessary, like on this section here. The object on the video does not move. The shape should not move either, so we have to place the points at the exact same position than the previous ones. Let's say that here we placed this point here. Well, you can see that the calculated points make it move, and we do not want it to move. So what we want to do is to have this point at the exact same position than the previous one, which is here. So to do that, we can just say use previous point position, so that the point does not move at all. Once you are happy with it, deploy the changes and modify the HTML file to show the outline. You know how to do that now. And here is the final result. Thank you for watching this first series of tutorials. We hope you liked it.